John, welcome. This is Make Good Music Cool. Um, of course, I have you here because you've done that in the past. I won't tell everybody what you've done in the past, but if you want to just give like a brief synopsis of who you are and why you're very important to the music industry and the culture as a whole.
That's how you gonna set me up.
Brag real quick, just
Brag
get your
real
shit
quick.
off.
All right, well, I'm from Philadelphia originally. I've been in Atlanta since '94. Played with everybody you can think of. A lot of it started from church. My dad's a pastor in Philly, so
I didn't know that.
mm,
Okay, that makes sense though.
yep, PK,
Yeah.
like our boy
Will,
Willie
right?
and everybody. Yeah. So it started at church. I started playing jazz outside of the church and everything. My family's real liberal, so they weren't really tight about me just playing gospel music. So I went and ventured out. I met with Marcellus when I was 16,
Nice.
and we became really good friends. He became a mentor to me. He brought me into his Duke Ellington Youth Orchestra. One thing led to another. I got a scholarship to Berklee College of Music, so I moved to Boston
You
for
went
like.
to Berkeley? I didn't know that.
That's a lot you
I
don't
was
know.
just thinking about Berkeley. Like somebody else was talking about going to Berkeley, and I was like, man, I feel like I know a couple people that went to Berkeley, but I didn't know you went to Berkeley.
Yep,
That's
2
wild.
years. I stayed in Boston for 3 years, and then by '94 I moved to the South, and
Dope.
that happened just out of the whim because I never even knew about Atlanta, Georgia. So I met a lot of musicians at school that were from the South. One in particular, his name was Eric Essex. His name is Eric Essex, and he's from Birmingham. We did a record together, like some contemporary jazz kind of stuff, really cool stuff. And I was ready to leave Boston. He was graduating. He said, "Man, you want to come down south with me and we can, tour and do things like that as a band?" I said, "Sure."
Yeah, bet.
Packed my bags, moved to Birmingham for like maybe 6 months to a year kind of thing. And we played in Atlanta one time, and I was like, "Atlanta's popping."
Right. That's where I need to be.
I was like, I'm moving to Atlanta.
Right.
I was just always like quick to roll if something was, grabbing my interest. I'm very spontaneous. So I was like, yo, they got some stuff happening in Atlanta, and I see a market where I can tap into.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, I started working with a lot of the artists from here who were on the Face Records, and, I was working with Organized Noise, and the list goes on. Dallas Austin, Jermaine Dupri. So all of their groups, they were calling me to like help put their bands together and
Yeah.
stuff. I put Goody Mob's first band together,
That's dope.
live,
Yeah.
and so I was doing a lot of that, a lot of sessions and things like that. Then I started going on tour with all those artists. Escape, Goody Mob,
Everybody.
Monica. I
Yeah.
was her MD as well. And then I went out with Dionne Farris,
Yeah.
who was like the indie artist out of all of them. She was just up and coming, and we were on this college tour and everything. I get a phone call from Janet Jackson's management, and they're like, "Yo, we heard about you and everything. We want to see if you're interested in coming and jumping on this tour with us, the
Right.
Janet tour." So that was '95.
Okay.
And
Right after you got here. That was in
right,
a year?
A year after that, yeah.
Crazy.
So I was gone.
Yeah.
You
Yeah. It's
know?
like, cool, we're moving.
So that's like part of the brief
Yeah.
history.
But then you got here and like it didn't stop. So that's amazing. So you came here for the right reasons, apparently. And then you went on to work with Janet. Then after Janet,
Michael
just
called
kinda-
me.
yeah.
I went in the studio with Michael. Well, Michael wasn't in the studio, but he was in New York. I was at his music director's house, Brad Buxter. And
You saying Michael's so cool. We're talking about Michael Jackson.
oh yeah, right.
Okay.
I mean, Michael.
Mike,
You say
you know.
Michael, it ain't Michael Jordan. so
Right, exactly.
It's either Michael Jordan or it's Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we did a session via satellite. So
Okay.
he was watching me in New York. I could see him on a screen, and he just told me to play whatever I felt, on a certain song that he asked me to play on. I wish I knew where that song was.
Yeah.
It was a benefit for like career or something, because Michael
Makes
would do a
sense,
lot
yeah.
of things like that to raise money. And I wish I could get a hold of that song because it was really dope.
Yeah.
And it's funny because while I was recording the song, I heard this percussion and stuff in the background, and I was like, "Yo, who played percussion on this?" Because at that time I was doing a lot of sessions in LA, so Louis Conte or Polina DaCosta and cats like that that's played on every record that you
Yeah.
could think of would play percussion. And Brad is like, oh, that's Michael.
He played, yeah.
I'm like, he's playing percussion? He's like, no, he did it with his mouth. I was like,
Stop.
What? Like all the shakers and all the
Yeah.
little parts and stuff. Michael did it with his mouth. He was a great beatboxer, you
That's
know.
wild.
Have you ever seen him on the Oprah Winfrey
Yeah, I
interview?
did. That's
And
why
he
I was like, it probably
beatboxing?
was Michael. Yeah, because people said that he was good in percussion, just in general. Like, he
Yeah.
played things that you wouldn't even realize Michael played. So
Yeah,
yeah,
and
I
then you can
believe
hear
it.
in his songs, he's always, you know, doing something with his mouth, syllable, you know, like percussion wise.
Right.
And so I was amazed by that. Like, God, I'm playing on top of Michael's beatbox. Like, this is crazy.
This is legendary.
That was one thing that
Yeah.
really stuck out to me about that. And he had come to South Africa to see Janet's Velvet Rope tour, and I was on that. So actually, I saw him in the mall the day that he had gotten there. So, you know, I saw all these crowds like following. You know, they were like following each other.
And that's
like,
when it was crazy. It was still crazy back then too. Like when the pandemonium around Michael.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Michael shows up, everybody's screaming and
Right.
everything. So I'm in the mall just chilling because the hotel was right next door, the Table Bay Hotel in South Africa. And I go and walk into the mall and I see all these crowds like following somebody, and so I look over. I'm like, oh, Michael Jackson's in town, you know. So
That's right.
I'm like, what is he doing in South Africa? I see him later on that night at the show. I'm like, oh, okay, he came to see Janet.
Yeah.
And that's where he got to see me play. So I have a feeling that that's how all of that came about. And then by 2000, 2001, Invincible record came out.
Yeah.
And they reached out to me and was like, yo, Michael wants to know if you'd be down to, you know, come on tour with him. And he was either on the line or he was at the studio or where they were calling from. And so he spoke to me and said, hey, Lil John, how you doing? You know, I was like, Michael? I was like, yo, what's up, man? And it was weird because at that time, I had just finished Velvet Rope Tour, which lasted a whole year. We went out in 98 and got back 99 or something like that. And then I came home and wanted to do like my own band, The Chronicle. I wanted to do our record. We were signed to Jermaine Dupri's, one of his side labels called Anunnaki. And so they funded our record and everything like that. And I felt like at that time I didn't know that I could have possibly done the record and went out on tour with him.
Oh, I see what you mean.
So they called me and they asked me to go out or you know, consider going. And I said, I'm working on my record right now. You know, I was nervous. Like, I don't think I can get out of this contract and stuff.
Yeah.
If I known then what I know now, I could have been like, I could have done both. So I said no. I was like, Mike, I would love, this is the opportunity of a lifetime to go on tour with you. Like, and I told him, I said, man, hopefully I can get this opportunity again. But right now, you know, I'm working on my band's record and stuff.
Yeah.
And he understood and all like that. But then 9/11 hit. So that tour didn't really take off much. He went to Budapest and a few places at that time, and then the 9/11 happened. He had actually done that show at Madison Square Garden that year.
I remember that.
With Usher and everybody,
yeah.
Britney Spears and all. So that tour never went out. So
Yeah.
I don't, you know, it was kind of just the destiny
how it's
was.
supposed to happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But man, I always wanted to at least do one tour with Michael. You know.
Yeah,
And
that'd
just
be
have
crazy.
that in my pocket, like, I toured with Michael Jackson.
Yeah. Exactly. But you worked with Prince too, right?
I worked with Prince, yeah. That was 2005. So a few years later, you know, I got a call to go and do the NAACP Awards with him. And that was through Sheila E., who I was working with at the time as well.
And that's like crazy to be a drummer and work with Sheila E. It's like, oh,
That's the
and now y'all are
best.
friends. So
That's the best. She hit me yesterday because I've been posting these videos on Instagram.
I saw those.
Yeah, I saw you
Those
made
are
a
dope.
comment on it. And, you know, just percussion and stuff mixed in with my boy who's in New York playing piano, Eric Lewis.
He's a beast. I was looking up his stuff too. I was like, oh, I started following him.
Eric is bad. I mean, if you've seen some stuff in the past, he's the piano player that kicks the seat away. He plays standing up.
Oh, okay.
And he's really dramatic and everything,
Right.
but technically amazing. He's like a Thelonious Monk kind of
That's
cat.
wild.
And we grew up in Philly together as well.
So I had Ari watching Dave Chappelle's blog party the other day, and Amir Questlove was talking about how Dave only knows 2 songs, and it's a lot of
Midnight.
Thelonious.
Right.
And it's a lot of Thelonious Monk. And she was like, "Who is that?" Because she likes jazz. And so last night, normally she listens to Jazz Going to Sleep, but I was like, I'll play Thelonious Monk tonight so you can listen to him. But she ended up liking it, so it's crazy that you just mentioned him.
Yeah, and I work with him a lot too. We do a thing. Yeah, we do a thing called the Juke Joint. It's in Yellow Springs, Ohio, where he lives. And he turned a barn into a club.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I didn't know
crazy.
about that. And they were doing it outside too. Like during the pandemic, I saw him do something outside. Mm-hmm. So it was like the first show I saw somebody try to do, and it was like tables sitting outside. He did a show.
Distance and everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, right before the pandemic, a good 3 years we were doing and shooting these shows at the barn. You know, maybe 300 people could fit in there. Kind of looks like this, a little bigger, you know, of course. Yeah. But it used to be a barn. And he says on the mic, he's like, "This used to be a place where animals used to shit." Like,
literally. Like you're like, cool, but we here though.
Right. And so we had it all decked out. Production is still there. Mm-hmm. So when the pandemic, you know, lets up, I'm sure we'll get back into that again. Like we would invite Tribe Called Quest would come perform. We had Lauryn Hill come one time. That never happened because she was late.
Yeah.
Yeah, she literally showed up like 2 a.m. We were done. Like 2 a.m. Yeah, he flew her over with crazy. A few of her band members, some of my boys. So they were hanging out in the trailer waiting for her to show up. Yeah. Meanwhile, we like still going through the show. Yeah. So yeah, he's called Talib Kweli, Mos Def, everybody, all his crew. Yeah. Kind of like a small block party.
Yeah. Because I was watching it. You know, I watch it all the time. That's one of my favorite, I'll say, movies ever. But I was watching. I'm like, man, we'll never get this again. Not that, because you know, Ye was there. Common. It was the energy was still like new and it was fresh.
Right.
So they had the energy to like have a good time still. And Erica and Jill, of course, and all these people on one stage. Yeah. And just how he even brought people from Ohio was like.
Yeah.
Wow. I love the fact that he still lives
like
here.
That.
Yeah, only. Yeah. Still. Like, if he tried to do it again and recreate it, it would be crazy. I wish he would, but...
He should do a TV show, like talk show.
He could do all... He could really do anything. It's his taste in all those areas and all the creativity. It's like... It's immaculate.
Yeah.
But,
He's a good dude, though. I love working with him.
Yeah. I can see a lot of people just seem happy when they're working with him. I'm like, this is great.
It's a party. We're working. I mean, because Dave is a workaholic. Like, we'll start that show that we do together. We do it like 10 o'clock till about 4 a.m. Like, every time we do it.
But you're kicking it, yeah.
We're gigging. We'll take a break. We'll go drink something, maybe smoke a little something, whatever. It's a party the whole time. Yeah. And then he'll look at us, y'all ready to go back on stage? Like, he don't stop. I'm like, bro, we just played for 3 hours.
Right. But I'm down. Like, that probably gets him going. I can see how it gives him a rush, and he's not even a musician. But I get it, because I'm on the other side too, where I don't play, but just watching it and experiencing it is just like that's my high. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Shouts out to my boy Fred Yanet. We toured with Stevie Wonder together. He's the harmonica player.
Oh, dope.
That is serving as like music director with Dave. So everywhere Dave goes, he goes musically and everything. Like, he helps put the shows together. And, like, we do them in different cities as well, like New York, or we've been in Minneapolis. Like, when Prince passed away, we did a tribute there for Prince because him and Dave were really good friends. Good, yeah. So we pulled a lot of his old band members together from New Power Generation and all. Like, it was crazy. Like.
And you're cool with Sheila already, so it's just like all those things in one.
Yeah, and he's getting all of this stuff on. It's getting all this content, so hopefully he puts some of that stuff out at some point. That's
like my goal in life. I don't know if you can tell, but it's like I love being behind the scenes or just being a part of the experience of it, and because of my appreciation is so high. Adam was like, "Yo, why do you? What is it about music that you like so much?" Because afterwards he was like, "Man, you really know a lot of music. What is it?" And I was like, I really don't know. My mom was very into a lot of different genres. She had a very eclectic ear, but she just listened to music. Nobody in my family sings. Nobody plays anything. I'm from Indiana, so I moved here managing. But
so it's your mom's fault why you're the way you are. Okay.
And she knows that. So now she's hyped because she didn't see it coming, but she just naturally she listened. Of course, I love Stevie Wonder. I remember I had braids in kindergarten at a recital. and it was primarily Caucasian, so they were like, and I had to wear sunglasses. So they were like,
you were looking like
wow,
Stevie.
you look like Stevie Wonder. And I'm like, Mama keeps saying I look like this person named Stevie Wonder. And so she was like, oh, that's who we listen to all the time. So I made the connection, and then I was like, oh my gosh, I love Stevie Wonder. So that's how I started loving Stevie Wonder, because people kept saying I looked like him with these sunglasses and braids.
That's crazy.
But like, just from there, you know, I was still like a teeny bopper, so I still listened to Backstreet Boys and things like that. But my parents are older. They're now 75. So I grew up in a household where we were listening only really to like either soft rock or like Motown. But we were listening to like Steely Dan.
Okay.
And we were listening to Boz Scaggs and, you know, Hall & Oates stuff.
They had a musical palette.
Yeah,
okay.
But it wasn't like, hey, this is who this is. It was just being played. So as I got older, I realized I'm looking for my favorite songs on LimeWire. Like, man, I'm trying to type in all these songs, but
oh my God, you went back. Dang.
Because that was the only way.
Now we can just Shazam stuff now.
Exactly. But it was like, well, now I got to figure out what the names of these songs are and who was singing them. So that's how I kind of figured out what everything was. And then Pharrell, I loved Pharrell because I recognized that he was always in the videos of the songs I liked. So I loved Babyface. And when he did There She Goes, it was like, he's in that video, but he's also in this NSYNC video. And he's also in a Jay-Z video. So I was putting all those things together, and I realized what a producer was. I was only like 11. And I started loving him. So that's what got my brain going, okay, there's people that make this music happen other than the singers and the artists. And so I started kind of looking backwards. And then when I moved here, it was like, I met Will. And I don't know, Atlanta opened my eyes up to a lot of different moving parts. Because then I was like, oh, okay, I'm putting on shows. I was doing it in college, but Indiana, people really don't. I was like the music head, but nobody really could relate.
Sweetwater's out there.
Yeah. No, in Indiana?
Oh, Indianapolis.
I'm from Indianapolis. That's where I'm from. But I went to college in Muncie at Ball State.
Yeah, Sweetwater, the company is out there.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I went out there and did their Gear Fest. They do it every year.
Oh,
and
dope.
It's kind of like NAMM, but a smaller version. But
really?
It's amazing.
I want to go to NAMM too. I'm like, can I
You've
do
never
all these
been to
things
NAMM?
even though I'm not a musician?
You will definitely enjoy that.
I can attend if I'm not a musician?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought it was just like you have to be
for the
invited.
badge.
Oh, see, I didn't know how it worked, but I'm like, 1 year, I'm going to go there. Like, that's on my
most
bucket
of us
list.
go there as our companies, our endorsement companies invite us.
Right.
So we get like passes from our like Tama drums or Minor Cymbals or whatever. So we represent them like that. But yeah, everybody comes from everywhere. Yeah.
Is that who you're represented by?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, dope.
Minor Cymbals and Tama drums and Vader sticks, Remo drum heads.
So do you reach out to them or do they hit you up like, hey, we would love to back you on this?
Companies do reach out to you if they're interested. They see what you're doing and stuff. I've been with these companies for like 20 years.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Like, you probably been with them for a while then.
Yeah. So it's a relationship.
Yeah.
And then, if the relationship is cool on both sides, if it ain't broke, don't try to fix it. But then you might see another company that you're interested in and, want to venture off with them. Like, I was with Pearl Drums for a good 15 years, like while I was with Janet and everything. Okay. And then that relationship, ended, and then I moved over to Tama Drums. But you got some musicians that just be hopping around from one
like,
company to the next. Yeah, it's not a good look because all these companies talk too, and a lot of them are from Japan. Like the drum companies, Tama, Pearl, Yamaha, all of them are made by Japanese. So. Yeah. They all sit around the round table and like, Little John, what do you think about Little John? Whatever, and they talk about us. So
that's why I would never even know that though.
Yeah,
but that makes sense.
It's good to keep a good reputation with these companies.
Yeah. So you mentioned your guy out in New York, how his style of playing. As a drummer, you are the one person that I know that sticks to being in the pocket.
Got to.
And you are amazing in that pocket.
Thank you.
So we were having a talk the other day. What if you had to explain to somebody what a pocket is? I know what a pocket is, but if you had to put it into words, what would you describe it as?
The pocket is the groove.
That's what I said.
There's different ways. Yeah, there's different ways. There are different types of pockets. Go-go music has a pocket.
Yeah.
It's a certain pocket. If you don't play that go-go music right, them cats gonna come after you. Like, trust me, I've seen it. They will, shake, that ain't go-go.
Yeah.
He ain't swinging it right, Joe. You know, Joe, he ain't playing that right, Joe. Like, the fans of go-go music, for instance, they know when you're playing the right groove in the right pocket for that kind of music. There's only one way that you can play go-go, you know. I mean, there's the approach is the same, but there are different variations of the groove. Like, the old noticeable. Chuck Brown stuff, you know, it was faster. Trouble Funk, all that stuff was faster. As the time went by, as things started slowing down, the tempo of the groove was slowing down. So, but there's a pocket that you have to play in any tempo with go-go. So, for instance,
Yeah. So when you went, since you went to Berklee, I heard the last person that I was listening to is an artist named Mac Ayers. He was talking about he went for 2.5 years, and then he got irritated because he went to class, and the teacher was like, "So guys, can anybody explain what a hi-hat is?" And he said he was annoyed because you have to. In his mind, music is music, but the fact that it's so technical in school, and it's no longer just like, let me just play what I feel. Did you feel that when you went to school? Did you finish at Berklee, or did you leave early? Yeah, he said a lot of people end up leaving early because they're just like, all right, well, I got it from here. This is all this is. Like, I can do this.
Basically, I was doing what I went to school for. Like, I went to Berklee for performance.
Right.
You know, if I had known better, I would have went for, like, MP&E or, like, engineering and stuff like that. Like, stuff away from what I was already doing.
So you could grow into something different.
Yeah, I could have had that in my back pocket, too.
Right.
Now that I know now, I could have been... Like, my boy, Abe Laboriel, he plays with Paul McCartney. And he played with a lot of folks, you know. His dad is Abe Laboriel Sr., famous bass player. We went to school together at the same time. So whatever Abe was he was getting the first call for everything. Whatever Abe couldn't do, they were like, John, you know, call John, you know. So I was like the second string guy, and I was fine with that because Abe, he was a great drummer, and everybody knew him, and you know, he had a famous dad too. So on top of everything, like he would hang out with Alex Acuna because his dad played with Alex Acuna, you know. And so he had some leverage as far as those things is concerned. In L.A., you know, he had a chance to hang with Jeff Porcaro and the guys from Toto and all. Like, that was his family. So I didn't have all that. I had the Philly people, you know, that I grew up with, all the Philly legends, you know, they were my family. Absolutely. But being at Berklee, you know, it just opened up a whole nother world for me, especially in that aspect of, like, meeting cats like him and other, you know, Roy Hargrove. All of us were in school at the same time.
That's what Mac was saying. He was saying, if anything, it put him in a situation where he got to meet a lot of different great musicians in one space, and everybody he was like, the networking basically ended up being the best part of it because he just got to meet so many like-minded people that were very, very talented in what they were doing because he went for songwriting. But I mean, you met people from
Brazil and Japan and Africa. All of us were hanging out, so we were sharing information with each other. Like, I was shedding with drummers all night long at school. I would miss class because we were shedding until the next morning. You know, we'd be in, like, all of us would be in, like, this, that's what we call it, the sheds in Berklee. They were like these little cubicles where we could set up just enough of a drum set or whatever and practice. Like, you had to sign up how long you would be in there for. I would sign up, like all day, like 8 hours, for real, like literally. I was practicing a lot. And that's part of the reason why I kind of stopped going to school, because I was practicing and I was gigging. And then my biggest run at that time was with Will Smith and Jazzy Jeff and Fresh Prince, Will Smith. And I was going back and forth to Philly and doing things with them.
He's from Philly too. That makes sense.
So I played on one of their records, me and James Poyser from The Roots, who's another buddy of mine that we grew up together as well, like Adam Blackstone. So we have a deep history in our generation. But James, we did the American Music Awards together in '94 with Jazzy Jeff and Fresh Prince.
Oh, okay.
So you could go back. There's like one YouTube video that I found of us playing on that. Like,
now I'm gonna look for it.
Oh yeah, and it's totally out of sync and everything, but you could see us on there. I was playing a stand-up drum set. Matter of fact, I made up a stand-up drum set at soundcheck. Like, I was looking at the gear that they sent us, and I saw a rack and everything. I was like, I'm gonna do something different tonight, you know. I'm over here like putting up a drum set that I can stand up and play. So if you see that video, I'm standing up. Like,
okay, so
I'm
you
not
just
sitting
invented
down.
something totally new on set.
Yep.
That's crazy. So what do you think? So knowing that, just because I know that you are a pocket drummer, that's like your specialty. a lot of people think good drummers have to be wild and crazy and all over the place. But what do you think makes you one of the drummers that everybody seeks out? What makes you a good drummer if you're just in the pocket?
The groove.
Yeah.
Janet, the groove. Like she could care less about all the flash and all that stuff.
Right.
Prince, the groove.
Yeah, Big Ace got a hit.
I mean, you got to be able to play better than him at least.
Hell.
You know, and he's a good drummer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Him, Mars Day, all of them. They all play drums. Jelly Bean, like I was around them, so I was like, the groove is what mattered first. You know. And he was a stickler about that. Like he didn't give two cents about any of your licks and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
If you ain't holding it down, like, and making people dance and stuff,
Right.
next guy.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
But that's what I've been known for, and not that I just play pocket. I got chops too.
You do.
I just don't choose to use them all the time.
You're not like
you know?
a crazy show, like,
I
let me
grew
just
up-
hit every drum, every symbol.
And you know, everybody has their thing, and I'm
Yeah.
cool with that. You know, I know some amazing chop drummers: Tony Royster,
Yes.
Eric Moore, my little brother Spanky, who I taught since he was 12.
Mm-hmm.
Just all these crazy, amazing technical drummers
Absolutely.
that I know. And then I know some really serious, hard pocket playing drummers too.
Mm-hmm.
That's all they do. And then I know cats like Fish from Fishbone that
Yeah.
plays double bass and rock
So
and
crazy.
hard and got the chops too, but still in the groove. You know, he
Mm-hmm. Right.
plays that ska shit like nobody
awesome.
does. Like Fish. That's
Yeah.
my homie right there.
That's crazy. You know everybody.
So yeah, just like different facets of the music, you know. And that was another thing for me in my career, was to not get boxed into one style of music. I hung out with cats from the rock side, jazz from the funk side, George Clinton, all of them. You know,
Yeah.
like I would like put myself in those positions to be able to hang out with all these types of musicians. I was hanging out with Roy Haynes back in the day in Boston. I'd go see him play. Tommy Campbell. I'd hang with Pat Metheny. You know, just like I was putting
Everybody.
myself.
Yeah.
Then I'd hang out with freaking Tommy from the rock band.
Travis Barker?
No.
Oh,
Travis.
Tommy. Pamela Anderson.
Yeah, Tommy Lee.
Yes. I'm like, I see his face in my
brain.
head.
This
I'm
COVID
like, oh, yeah, Tommy.
messed up my brain. But no, Tommy Lee. I got a
Yeah.
picture with him.
Oh,
You
that's
would crack
wild.
up.
Yeah.
Then my boy. Oh my God, the names are messing me up right now. I was next to Nine Inch Nails. You know, we were rehearsing next to Nine Inch Nails. Josh Freese. And Josh Freese played on a lot of amazing records, you know, and he was on tour with Nine Inch Nails for a minute. And we were rehearsing right next door to each other. So in between rehearsals, we go hang out in each other's room, and I'd walk in there and watch them do their production rehearsals,
Yeah.
like freaking out, like, am I in hell? Like
That's why I love musicians, because for the most part, musicians, if they see another musician, they're like, ooh, let me check out what they're doing. Not on some like, ooh, what are they doing? But just like, man, that's so dope. Like,
Yeah.
it's always like a camaraderie that happens, and it's like, oh, well, let's jam together and let's hop
And
on each other's
they feel
instruments.
the same
and-
way about us too. Like they
Yeah.
come in. Tommy Lee came in our rehearsal and was just sitting in the back, like
Yeah.
listening,
It's an
like
exchange.
damn, you know.
There's no
'cause
hierarchy really. It's just like, oh wow, if you're a musician, like come play.
It's the respect
watch, yeah.
and the groove. Once again, Tommy is a groove rocker.
Yeah.
You know, he's one of the funkiest rock drummers that I can think of. Actually, you know, Travis Barker's cool too, but Tommy, he's got a whole nother thing, and his attitude with it and everything. You know, just straight rocked out.
What's his name? Dave Grohl is like that too.
Dave Grohl,
Yeah.
another one. Yeah.
Yeah, he
Taylor
sticks to it.
Hawkins went to Berklee as well. His drummer.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, Berklee, it clearly doing something right. But I feel like if you're a musician, you automatically think, well, just let me go to Berklee and see what that life is about. I think it's good.
That's the school to go to.
Yeah.
I mean, all around, you know, unless you're going to just do jazz, you could go to the new school and all like that, which a lot of my friends decided to do after we all left high school.
Yeah.
Like, I was playing with Chris McBride and Joey DeFrancesco, the
Yeah.
most amazing organists in the world, and one of the most amazing upright bass players from Philly. And when we separated, when we went different ways, they went to New York. Well, Miles grabbed Joey. Miles Davis put Joey in
I was
his
about to say
band.
Miles Davis.
Yeah, we met Miles when we were like 18, 17, like that, in Philly. And he pulled Joey right away. And then Chris went on to play with all the jazz greats, you know, and he went to New School, I believe he went to New School. And then I went the other way. I went to the pop school, you know, the R&B and pop and, you know, rock school or whatever. I mean, Berklee was good for jazz too, but Berklee was all around music, you know, all these different styles. So.
Yeah. So when I'll say, okay, so I'll say now with the drummers now. No, let me go back. What do you play other than drums? Don't you play more?
Not really. I play a little bit of keyboards to come up with ideas. Like, don't put me on no gig.
I was like, have I ever seen you switch up? I didn't know if I saw you like pick up a bass or anything. You mentioned somebody playing bass.
I always wanted to play bass.
Because
in my mind, I'm a bass player.
Me too. At heart, the crazy thing is I have a whole bass amp, but I still have no bass guitar. And I was like, Adam, I don't even know what to get and like where to start, because I played strings. I played violin in high school
since elementary school.
But yeah, I get the concept. It's just the strings are heavy. And I don't know. In my mind, though, like you said, I'm a bass player because that's the first thing I hear every time. But
I've seen you do a lot of different creative things. I think if you really put the time, you know, aside to do it, you would definitely work out playing bass.
Yeah, I believe so. Even if it's just, I might not be Thundercat, but I'm gonna find a groove though. You know what I mean? All you gotta do is the groove.
I wouldn't even put those limits there.
You're right.
You know, people will surprise you.
Yeah.
It's the dedication that's gonna decide if you can do it or not.
Absolutely, it's the dedication. So once I start, it's like, I have to get the bass, but once I start, I have to go. Because once I get it, I can't just let it sit and collect dust. So that's my goal. But
it's never too late.
It's never too late. And that's why I said I want to be an old grandma sitting on my front porch playing my bass. That's all I want to do. But by that time, I just want to be, like you said, grooved out.
You'll be jamming with your girlfriends at home.
Exactly, kicking it. Glass of wine and my bass.
Take it.
But now, like are there any new drummers that you you kind of nurture, or that you look like, and that you're like, you admire or you're really impressed by?
Both things. I'm a mentor to a lot of cats, you know, old and young, and some of them inspire me greatly. Like, you know, because I'll be 49 this week.
That's so crazy.
I'll be 50 next year. Like, that's crazy to even
barely 40.
Say that, you know. But yeah, through the years, I've met some really dope younger musicians that I've been just keeping my eye on, and they inspire me. And then, you know, they all call me Unc. You know, that's the name now, Big Unc or whatever. And I'm cool with that. You know, I'm a big brother to a lot of musicians around the world. So if I don't see them in person, they're reaching out to me online and, you know, Instagram or Facebook or whatever like that, asking me questions every day. Like,
absolutely.
I'm like, man, I gotta do a class or something because to answer all these questions.
You should.
I get a lot of the same questions back to back. You know, how can I get on? How can I get an endorsement? You know, and I try to answer as much as them as possible. But then after a while, it's just like I'm answering the same question 100 times. You know, so at some point, I want to be able to do something like with Adam and all my boys and just do like a workshop or something that can just answer all these questions that we get.
Awesome. That would be awesome. If you listen, I'm down to help out with that too.
Oh, yeah.
I hope you put it together because that would be awesome. That's another reason why I wanted you on here, because I'm like, I know people know who you are. If I bring you up in a conversation, people are like, wow, John? You know, it's like, how do you even know who that is? But I don't think a lot of people hear from you, so I'm like, I want people to know who you are, what you're about. But like, I know you have a lot of knowledge too, so you can, you know, of course, I know people ask you questions all the time about more technical things when it comes to music, or, you know, how do you make it in the music industry? Not even just like how do you play drums, but you know, how did you sustain for this long? And you stay, you know, stay busy, you stay booked.
I know a lot of people, you know, ignore people, you know, and I hear it all the time. When I respond to somebody, they're like, I can't believe you responded to me. I'm like,
you're not Hollywood.
That's not me. And I try, like I said, I try to answer as many people's questions as possible, but I wish a lot of other people did the same thing. You know, a lot of people that are in my position and in my platform and all like that, I wish they would take the time out to just answer some of these questions. You know, don't be too big or too busy that you can't, you know, give back to somebody that's trying to get where you are.
Absolutely. And nobody's here to like take your spot, but you know, it's a new generation. There's always a new generation coming, so it's good to nurture them. Because the one thing that I am concerned about is making good music cool. Because it used to be cool to be a musician. It used to be like you have to be on point in order to get on the stage. With music in general now, I don't want to say the standards are lower, because there are still good musicians out there. There's still people that care about the way their lives sound. is presented. Even the recordings, like it's not just about live sound either. It's, you know, how are you recording your music? Does it sound like you took your time and care about what you do?
See, that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah.
Live versus studio.
Right.
You know, just because you're a great live musician doesn't mean that it sounds good in the studio. It's a whole nother art to record yourself, you know, or however you're doing it in the studio.
Yeah, I mentioned you yesterday to a friend of mine. He's out I think he's in Maryland, but he was like, man, I had his album, The Heartbeat. He was like, man, I love that album.
Thanks for the little plug.
Yeah. I was like, oh, great. So you know who it is? He was like, yeah, man, I love John. But I thought that was cool that he listened to it, because it's like, I know a lot of people do. I got it from my uncle when you put it out, and he was spazzing in Indiana. Like,
is that the one I signed?
Yeah.
CD for?
So you remember?
What up,
he
Unc?
was like, yeah, exactly. My Uncle Mike. He was losing it. He was like, how did you get this? And I was like, I knew you would appreciate it, because he loves music. But yeah, like, I think you care about music still. You always have it, of course. And I think that's why people respect you as a musician, and why you have such good relationships, because you take it seriously.
And sometimes you got to take a break from it.
Yeah.
Because doing that 24/7 the love and passion is there,
Right.
but anything that you do too much, you got to walk away from for a minute and do something else. Like, you know, I find little things in life, you know, if I'm going to shoot some hoops, or if I don't roller skate no more, but I've been in a roller skate rink, you know,
But,
like,
I mean, if you wanted to pick it
bowling, anything, like, just to get my mind away from music.
Yeah.
You know, and then when I come back, I have a fresher approach, and then my creativity is heightened, you know, just because I walked away for a second.
Right. I think that's anything creative, though, because even with me, sometimes I'll walk around my house completely silent, because I've run out of music to listen to. My algorithm is now, like, making it so I can only listen to certain music. And I'm just like, I don't want to listen to anything right now. I'm not inspired by anything right now. So I just completely go silent.
Yeah.
And then when I hear something that inspires me, I'm like, boom. And then it's a trickle-down effect. But you have to step away for a second just to get a fresh ear, fresh vision on what you're trying to do.
Absolutely. My place is quiet when I'm home, too.
Yeah.
Because I'm hearing music 24/7. So when I'm home, it's like this.
Yeah.
You know?
Seriously.
So I can have the time to think. I can pray. I can meditate.
Thoughts,
you know, ask God some questions. You know, like, it gets deep.
Like, are we good here? No, absolutely. I experienced the same thing, so I get it. Well, John, I feel like I have way more things to ask you about or talk to you about.
We'll do a part 2.
Right. But I appreciate your time. I know people will enjoy it. People that don't know who you are, now they will know who you are, and people that have probably been waiting for you to talk, or to hear you talk, or hear you speak. I think they'll love it.
Thanks for having me, Tia.
Thanks, John.
Tia.
It's great that we finally got to do this.
Absolutely. It was fun.